Yeah, I don't know. It said it, I don't know. We'll see if we can figure it out. We'll figure it out today. We'll see if we can figure it out today. Okay. So here's the two equations. There's standard form of a circle. This is like the simpler of the formulas, and then general form. Write down general form as well, so that way you have both. Okay. And then here's how standard form works. So in this here, we have H and K, and H and K are the center of the circle, like the coordinates of the center. And then R is the radius, so radius is R. And notice that the radius here is squared. Also note that in the equation it's x minus h, so this subtraction symbol is part of the equation, it's not part of that coordinate, which we'll get to in a second, and also this subtraction symbol, part of the equation, not part of the coordinate. Okay, so then using this equation, it says write an equation of a circle with center 3, -2, and a radius of 4. So 3, -2, that would be your h and k. And then I'm going to plug it into this equation here. So that'll be x minus 3 squared plus y minus -2 squared equals the radius squared. So here the radius is 4, just squared like that. I remember when I was in school, the H and K kind of gets confusing. It's like, which one's H, which one's K? Something that can help is if it's in alphabetical order, H comes before K in the alphabet. Also, the X coordinate goes with the X and the Y goes with the Y. So sometimes the way I see it is X minus the X coordinate, Y minus the Y coordinate can help as well. And then from here, we need to simplify this. Like we wouldn't leave this as a double negative, or we wouldn't leave this as 4 squared. We'd actually square it. So we're going to just rewrite it in a little bit simpler format. So x minus 3 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 16. And this would be the equation of that circle. So that's where the general form comes in, where we like FOIL it. Is that what you're, yeah. But we're not doing that. Okay, so for the second one, write the equation of a circle with center -4, 0, and a diameter of 10. So this is HK, and then diameter is 10, so radius would then be 5. And so we're just going to plug it into this equation. X minus -4 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 5 squared. And x minus -4, that's going to be x plus 4. So x plus 4 squared plus, and then y minus 0 is just going to be y, and it'll just be y squared. And then 5 squared, 25. Okay, number 3, repeating the same process. This is h and k. The x minus the x coordinate squared plus y minus the y coordinate squared equals 11 squared. And then simplifying this, subtracting a negative here, y plus 9 squared equals square root of 11. Squared is just going to be 11. One question that sometimes comes up on testing is it asks like what equation is this derived from? It's actually a part of the Pythagorean theorem, like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this is derived from the Pythagorean theorem. Sometimes they like to ask that, just FYI. Okay, number 4, find the coordinates of the center and measures of the radius. So now they give us the formula and we just have to find the center and the radius. So center and radius. Well, this is h and k. Again, the negative is part of the equation, so this is actually positive 6. And then this would be negative 3. And then the radius, square root of 25, is 5. Okay, then number 5, center, radius, and equation of the circle. So they give you the circle, you need to find the center, the radius, and then from there you can write the equation of the circle. So just looking at this, try to find the center. It actually looks like it's right there at the origin. But to check it, just make sure whatever you choose as a center is the same distance from all the sides. So there's 12 units here, 12 units here, 12 units here, 12 units here. So that must be the center. So the center is at 0, 0. And the radius is just that distance from the center to the outside, which is 12 units. And then to write this equation would just be x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 12 squared. X minus 0 is just x, so that would be x squared plus y squared equals 144. Okay, number 6 might take a little bit more work to find the center. Just kind of like eyeball it and choose something and then see if it works. So maybe if I choose this and I try to see if all the sides are the same distance from this point, and this is like 6 units and then this is 8. So I didn't quite get it the first time. I'm just going to do trial and error until you find it. When I put the point here, then it is exactly 7 units to each side. So the center is at 1, negative 3. Then the radius is the distance from the center to the side, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. And then the equation, x minus the x coordinate, y minus the y, and the radius squared. Okay, for this example here, it says graph the circle, identify the center and the radius. Okay, so to graph it, we need to find the center and the radius first, so that way we know it's a graph. The center here, this would be h and k, so 3, 2. And then square root of 9 is 3, so the radius is going to be 3. And then once we have these two numbers, we can graph it. So center is at 3, 2. And then the radius of 3, just like make 3 units away from that center in all the directions. And then graph the circle. Okay, so all this is kind of like the basics. Technically, you should have seen this in 7th or 8th grade. Have you seen this before, now that you've seen it? No. You're supposed to have seen it in 7th and 8th grade. And then the backside is more like high school level. So this would be like a 2 or 3 level, just like the basics of an equation of a circle. And then the back would be more like 4 or 5. So let's go try the back. So this I've seen on testing multiple times on like the end of year course test. So for this, they'll give you the equation in this format, general form, and they'll ask for like the center and the radius, or they'll ask you to graph this. But from this format, it was easy to graph and everything, but from this format, there's some extra steps. We have to actually change it into this format so you can find the center and the radius. So that's what we're doing. The steps here won't make sense until we actually go through them, but first step is to group it, and then the second step is to complete the square. We make the square, and I'll just show you how to do that. So first step is to group it. So we're going to take this and group all the x's together. So I'm going to put x squared plus 8x plus blank. Yeah, I know. It's going to be weird the first time. Just go with it until it becomes like more routine. Okay, so x squared plus 8x plus blank plus y squared minus 2y plus blank equals, and then I'm going to put this negative 8 on the other side. So adding this 8 to both sides over here, we get 8 right here. Okay, so now we need to fill in these blanks by completing the square. And the way we're going to do that is to take this term right here, like your b term, and we're going to, I'm going to do it up here, divide it by 2 to get 4, and then square that number to get, in this case, 16. So I took this 8, divided it by 2 to get 4, squared it to get 16, and that's what's going to go in this blank. And whatever I add to this side of the equation, I also have to add over here. And then it seems like a lot at first, but then as you do it over and over, it gets easier. Okay, so then this term divided by 2, and then square it to get 1. And then whatever you add to this side of the equation, we also have to add to this side of the equation. Okay, so now we have a quadratic right here, which we're going to factor. We got x and x. Two numbers that multiply to 16 and add to 8 would be 4 and 4. So like 4 times 4 is 16. 4 plus 4 is 8. So plus 4 here, plus 4. And then we factor this one as well. Two numbers that multiply to positive 1 and add to negative 2 would be negative 1 and negative 1. And then equals all this put together would be 25. Okay, now you might be seeing how it's going to come together here. So now we have x plus 4 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 25. And now, if it asks what the center and the radius is, we can easily answer looking at this format. So the center is -4, +1, and the radius, square root of 25, is 5. That was fun. Okay, now we practice it again. Okay. Okay, so these right here, we're just practicing that same thing. We're going to first group it, and then do the factoring thing. So let's see. So we got to put x with x squared plus -8x plus blank. Then y squared plus 0x plus blank equals, and then put the 7 over here, -7. Okay, so to find out what goes in this blank, I need to divide this by 2 and then square it. So down here, just divide it by 2 and square it, I get 16. Then I gotta add 16 over here. And then for the 0 divided by 2 is going to be 0, and 0 squared is just 0. So I didn't really need to write that up, but I wanted to show that it just comes out to 0, so next time you don't need to. Okay, next step, I'm going to factor this. I'm trying to slow. Two numbers that multiply to positive 16 add to -8. This whole thing, I just need to leave it as y squared. It's fine. And then -7 plus 16 would be 9. This 16? It went there. And then, oh, where'd the 16 go? So I factored this thing out. Okay, then I got x. What's that? I did. It's algebra. Yeah. Okay. Then from here, then if it asks for the center and the radius, center would be at +4, 0, and the radius is 3. Okay, the next one, practicing the same steps. First, grouping it. Then to find this, I need to take this term divided by 2 and square it. And then take this term divided by 2 and square it. and then factor this, x plus 2, x plus 2, y minus 3, y minus 3 equals the next one. It looks more complicated, but it's really not. Just before you start, you have to factor out a 2 from everything, and then you can solve it the way we've been doing it. So I'm just going to factor out a 2 from everything, and then write it without the 2 factors. So x squared plus y squared minus 8x plus 2y plus 10 equals 0. And then follow the same steps. We're going to group the x's together. Take this term divided by 2 and square it. And then I can factor these. The center would then be positive 4, negative 1. And the radius is just square root of 7. Okay. The last one, you're going from write the general form of the equation of the circle, so you're going from standard to general, so the other direction. This is actually easier, so what we're going to do is actually like write out the factors like this. And we're going to FOIL. So FOIL stands for first, outside, inside, last, so you multiply x times x the first two terms to get x squared. Outside, negative 4x. Inside, negative 4x. And then last, negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. And then foiling this as well, y times y, y squared. 3 times y, 3y. Inside, 3y. Last, 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, now I'm going to write it in the order of the general form. So I would have x squared plus y squared. So writing that down. Then these two, I can combine them. Negative 8x. Combine these two to get 6y. Then this and this, 16 and 9, 25 equals 36. And then last but not least, I need this equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 36 and put it over here. So x squared plus y squared minus 8x plus 6y plus 11 equals 0. Okay. What's that? There is homework on this. Do you want me to go over a couple of the what ifs? Well, okay, so the homework, here's the thing. The homework doesn't include this back. It only includes the front. So I wanted to make sure to go over this so that way the next standardized test you don't say, we didn't even see that, Miss Silva, you didn't even teach us that. So I know it was hard for half of you, and some of you were ready for it because you had the algebra foundation to be able to do it. So wherever you were at, it's okay. Just I want to make sure to be really thorough. But the homework includes this. Sorry, I'll go back. The homework is mostly on this. There's a couple what ifs on the homework. So for example, on the homework it says there's a center at -1, 8, and it passes through, let's say 9, 3. So for this, the center, of course, is easy to plug into the equation. And then to find the radius, you would find the distance between those 2 points. So if you get this one, it's just subtract your x values, subtract your y's. Again, it's all coming together. We're at the end of the year now. So to find the distance between those 2 points, you use the distance formula. Or you could graph it and count it out if you wanted to. If you have other questions on the homework, let me know. But most of it's this. If you get some challenging ones, just call me over. Yes, George. Yes, you may. Thank you for waiting. Okay. We don't have a laptop, so you can use your phone for the homework. I'll enable it 1 second. Let's see if I can get this recorded too. Okay, I'm going to the back.